Hi, I'm Alexis Barra.
And I'm Alan DePinto.
Today we will be discussing the similarities between relationships around the time of the Italian Renaissance
and in today's pop culture and modern society. Connections between people have existed since the beginning of time and often change between generations. When we observe the perception of relationships of different times in history, we can see that ideas change drastically. This can reflect on the mindset of the public of each era and give us a window into their reality. Themes pertaining to relationships are trickled throughout time and can be found in pop culture as well as works of literature. This is perfectly exemplified in the time of the Renaissance in Italy, where many prominent individuals wrote about relations between lovers, acquaintances, and persons of power. Specifically, in the Decameron and The Prince, we examine what Boccaccio and Machiavelli thought of relationships. Current-day views on relations between people are often seen as significantly adverse to the point of view of the Renaissance influencers. This notion is incorrect, since today's public perception of love and power can be identified in the works of historic Italy. We have slightly altered approaches to relationships that are simmered down in a sense. This report will prove to you that Machiavelli and Boccaccio were not so different from us after all.
The Decameron is a book written by Giovanni Boccaccio in the mid-13th century in Florence, Italy. This was composed around the same time that the Black Death was spreading around Europe. The book includes an array of novellas revolving around relationships and tragedy. A lesson can be drawn from each individual novella that allowed the readers to develop throughout the book. In addition to this, when looking at pop culture and modern society today, it is easy to see each kind of relationship found within the Decameron. The first novella of the seventh day in the Decameron is a great example. Gianni Lodoringhi hears a tapping at his door in the night. He awakens his wife, and she leads him to believe it is a werewolf, whereupon they go and exorcise it with a prayer, and the knocking stops. The two characters, Gianni and Mona Tessa, are married. Mona Tessa grows tired of her husband and begins to have an affair with a man named Federico. They are almost caught when Gianni unexpectedly stays home one night when Federico and Mona Tessa have a plan to stay together. When Federico shows up at their home, Mona Tessa is able to trick Gianni into believing it was a werewolf, and they pray it away together while Mona Tessa and Federico silently laugh at the husband's idiocy. Affairs and trickery like this are extremely common even still today. The famous actress Elizabeth Taylor is a great example of a woman acting out against a significant other. Married 8 times, Elizabeth Taylor cheated on her second husband with a man who later became her third husband. She also cheated on her fourth husband with the man who later became husband number 5. Doesn't that sound like something Boccaccio would have written about? Another modern-day example of something that sounds like it is from the Decameron is the case of Woody Allen and Soon-Yi Previn. Woody Allen was married to a woman named Mia Farrow, who was the stepmother of Soon-Yi. It was later revealed that Allen and his stepdaughter, Soon-Yi, were romantically involved during his marriage. After Allen and Farrow divorced, he married Soon-Yi shortly after. Maybe one real difference between the 15th century and today is how easy it is to get caught now.
The ninth story of the fourth day and the Decameron is a very extreme example of things that occur today. Guillaume de Roussillon causes his wife to eat the heart of her lover, Guillaume de Castavan, whom he has secretly murdered. When she finds out, she kills herself by leaping from a lofty casement to the ground below, and is subsequently buried with the man she loved. In this novella, Guillaume de Roussillon discovered that his wife was sleeping with a man named Guillaume de Cabestan. Upon discovering this affair, Roussillon impulsively murdered Cabestan and decided to feed the heart of the dead lover to his wife as his way of revenge. When his wife found out what had happened, she threw herself out of a window to end her own life. While we definitely see less murder in pop culture today, acts of revenge are plentiful. The insane story of the Tiger Woods scandal could have also been written by Boccaccio. When Woods' wife found sexual messages in her husband's phone and then confirmed the affair between him and another woman, she, quote, threw the phone, at Woods, chipping his tooth. She pummeled his chest and scratched his face. She wrested himself away, and she reached for the nearest weapon, a golf club, and began chasing him. His wife ran after him, smashing his car with the golf club as he tried to drive away. Woods crashed into a tree and knocked himself out for several minutes before an ambulance arrived. 2 weeks after this incident, the number of known mistresses was up to 14. The couple got divorced soon after. Obviously, Boccaccio is able to stretch his stories in a way he pleases to get the message across. The murder and eating of a man's heart are fictional revenge plots, but as we can see, things still occur today on a different scale.
We will now focus on a sonnet written by Petrarch that we read in this class. Sonnet 190 includes these lines: "She was so sweet and so sublime to see, I left all other tasks to follow her, like some miser who in his search for treasure feels a delight that soothes away the effort." This sonnet seems to be a depiction of lost love, a love that will never be discovered again. The man follows his love and she later disappears, leaving him to wonder what had even happened, becoming wrapped up with the whole affair. We are reminded while reading this sonnet of the famous tragic love story between Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. Prince Albert faced an untimely death in 1861, 40 very long years before his beloved wife, Queen Victoria, would pass. For those years that seemed to never end following the prince's death, Victoria wore only black and kept herself in relative seclusion. She was left all alone, only with the memories and feelings that would soon fade away with time. Petrarch's sonnet is laced with these confused and depressed emotions. This feeling of loss after a long relationship is common and will probably still be relevant in another 100 years in the future.
Further investigation into relationships in the Decameron brought us to the fifth story of the fourth day. Lisabetta's brother murdered her lover. He appears to her in a dream and shows her where he is buried. She secretly disinterns the head and places it in a pot of basil, over which she weeps for a long time every day. In the end, her brothers take it away from her, and shortly thereafter, she dies of grief. This novella involves a girl named Lisabetta and her secret lover, Lorenzo. Her lover is of lower social status than her, as her family was very wealthy. One night, one of her 3 older brothers sees Lorenzo in Lisabetta's bedroom engaging in sexual acts. Enraged, the 3 brothers kill the man and bury him without telling their sister. Lisabetta has a dream in which she sees Lorenzo and he tells her that he has been killed. When she wakes, she goes to the site that she saw in her dream and digs up his head. She places the head in a vase with basil and brings it home with her. Her brothers find it and take away the head and dispose of it. Lisabetta eventually dies of grief as the novella ends. Themes from this story can be very clearly seen within our society today. Lorenzo was not accepted by the family of Lisabetta because of his social standing. Today, many people end up marrying people that have common wealth and social ranking. We can see this in many different movies in the pop culture of America. In the 1992 Disney movie, Aladdin, a poor man wishes to obtain forbidden love with a rich princess. He is granted his wish of becoming rich, and up to the standards of the princess, which then allows him to win her love. These narratives that are found in a kids' movie shows the perception of class in our society. Despite this, many people side with Lisabetta on the issue of love, arguing that love is universal and has no correct image. When Boccaccio wrote this novella, it seemed to be a warning against out-of-place love. Alongside of this, he shows that love is very powerful when he says that Lisabetta dies from grief. This idea still exists today, as most Americans find love very valuable and sacred.
This brings us to an interesting part of our discussion. We have gone through many different views on love and how these views really have not changed much. Boccaccio was obviously smart in deciding to write about love and tragedy, as many authors before and after him. Now let us dive into the dynamics between power and love. Machiavelli wrote The Prince in hopes of convincing Medici to take over rule of Italy to essentially save the country. Throughout this book, Machiavelli describes the ideal ways to be the best possible ruler. His focus is mainly on power and control. In Chapter 7 of The Prince, Machiavelli outlines his opinion that rulers who acquire their land by sheer luck will quickly lose it. Although they are fortunate enough to have gained any land at all, with the little amount of effort they have put in, they will soon lose it all unless they learn extremely quickly how to defend the land effectively. We can see how work overrules luck throughout our country in more modern times. The American dream that has been so popular in the minds of American families for years is not something that happens without struggle. Working towards a dream, a goal, or even a relationship means struggle in the short term, but success in the long run. Love, it seems, is very similar to power. Power is defined as the capacity or ability to direct or influence the behavior of others or the course of events. When someone is in love, they are able to do exactly this. How a prince may choose to rule his land, a man may choose to love his wife. Putting the appropriate work in at the beginning stages of obtaining a significant other and then continuing that effort during the relationship is the only way to keep hold of a strong bond. Just happening upon something by accident will often end poorly. Let us now take a look at Ronald Reagan. Reagan was the 40th President of the United States, but before that he had been a successful actor. After working for many years in Hollywood, Reagan used his platform there to speak out against communism and became a very outspoken anti-communist. He was able to connect with the common man, the political man, and everyone in between. Reagan used his relationship with the American people to move forward in his life. He soon after was elected as governor in California, gaining a following along the way that eventually led him to his presidency. Reagan did not just fall into the career path that he chose. He worked hard to become an actor and even harder to switch into politics. Machiavelli would have found President Reagan very interesting if he had the chance to study him. The power dynamic here is the same as in any relationship. Put in the work and you will see the results. We have looked at relationships among lovers and between people of power and the public.
The motifs that are found through analyzing the Decameron, the Prince, and Petrarch's poems can be seen scattered about our society today.
This can show how the basic thoughts of people regarding relationships has remained constant throughout time.
There is much to learn from the predominant individuals of the Renaissance that are embedded within their works of literature.
We can advance our minds to work hard for what we desire, rather than relying on luck, as Machiavelli explains.
We can try to stay positive in the realm of love, supporting the notion that it is universal, as seen in Boccaccio's novellas. We can learn a lot from these authors if we really look deep.